podcast, as you know, we talk about deep things and we make them fun. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to be diving deep into something that affects so many of the brilliant, high achieving women that I work with on a day to day basis. It's the exhausting pattern of what our guest today calls emotional outsourcing. We are going to explain what that is, but you already know what I'm talking about. It's when you say yes, when you mean no, when you're over functioning in your relationships, and when you're somehow losing yourself in the process of trying to keep everyone else happy. We're going to talk a total big bunch about all of those things in just a minute. Now, if you've ever wondered why you can lead a team, close a deal, perform a very delicate medical operation, or manage a crisis at work, but feel completely powerless when it comes to setting a simple boundary with your partner, with your mother in law, with your sister, with your cousin, this conversation is for you. My guest today is, first of all, a genius who I love and adore. And she's going to help us understand why these patterns live in our nervous system, not just in our minds, and more importantly, how to rewire them so you can show up as the powerful, self led woman that you truly are in your relationships and everywhere else. And we're going to talk about nervous system healing. And of course, how it's deeply personal and it's going to be different for each person. So, we're going to share stuff that we have seen work for us, work for our clients, and we know that you're going to apply it in a way that works for you. Okay, now I'm going to introduce our guest. Her name is Beatriz Victoria Albina. We're going to call her Bea, which reminds me of Bea. So I'm going to call her both interchangeably in this episode. And she is known to thousands of women all over the world. She is a master certified life coach, a somatic experiencing practitioner, a leader in feminist wellness. She hosts the Feminist Wellness podcast. She blends science and intuition and her own brand of unique genius. And she coined the term emotional outsourcing. This is kind of like, listen, everybody, listen it. Remember years ago when Brene Brown started talking about vulnerability, and then vulnerability was just everywhere, and we all kind of knew what it was, but it was just like everywhere. This is one of those moments. You're hearing it on the podcast here first. Emotional outsourcing is going to be this thing that everybody's going to be talking about, and you're going to be like, I know what that is because I listened to the Marriage Life Coach podcast, and I heard that before you all had a dream of what that was. Okay, so she's coming out with a book. It is truly a groundbreaking book. It's called End Emotional Outsourcing: How to Overcome Your Codependent, Perfectionist, People-Pleasing Habits and Reclaim Your Life. Now, I'm recording this in 2025. It comes out on September 30th of 2025. It's coming from Balance Books. If you're listening to this in the future, you will know that what I said was true and you've heard emotional outsourcing before, and you're going to be like, yeah, that's right. If you're listening to this in 2025, get the book. We'll put the link in the show notes. It's amazing. You're going to love it. It's super detailed, but super digestible. So it's like one of my favorite things is, yes, I got to get a little sneak peek at the book before she came on. And one of my favorite things is how she explains really deep scientific concepts that are like, oh my gosh, my eyes are crossed. But she makes it fun and easy to understand. So, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
I am so excited to be here. You are such a true delight, my Leo sister. And yeah, I'm just honored to get to be here and to be part of your world.
Okay. I have so
Okay.
many questions and so many things
I
I
can't
want to
wait.
talk
I
about.
want to answer them all.
I can't wait. Okay. So, let's begin with something both of us just deal with on a day-to-day basis. The reason that you wrote the book is there's so many successful professional women who are killing it at all these difficulties in life and yet have all these patterns of overgiving and perfectionism and are exhausted and overwhelmed and just
Hmm.
don't know where their next ounce of energy is going to come from. And I know you and I both coach on this all the time. And one of the patterns that I see, which you address in the book so eloquently and so powerfully, is how we start trusting everybody else instead of ourselves. We listen to what everybody else wants instead of what we want. We listen
Hmm.
to what everybody else thinks instead of what we think.
Hmm.
And I want to hear like how you define emotional outsourcing specifically,
Yes.
And why do you think it's so common? Like, what is it about it that it's like, why is it so pervasive?
Fantastic. So let's start with the term we're not using,
Yeah.
which is codependent as an identity, as a label, as a like said word. It's not who we
Mhm.
are in my
Mhm.
world. And I
Mhm.
I use the term to lead us into emotional outsourcing,
Mhm.
but I don't use the term itself because codependency comes from the 12-step disease model, which
Mhm.
pathologizes love and care and has been
Mhm.
weaponized especially against women,
Mhm.
labeling us as needy, too much, and calling us enablers for loving and
Mhm.
caring the people in our lives who, in this case, the case of the 12 step
Mhm.
model, are
Mhm.
humans with substance use concerns. And so it
Mhm.
frames survival strategies as a defect instead of
Mhm.
what they are, which is understandable, protective ways we learn to stay safe and connected. So
Mhm.
that was the original reason why I coined emotional outsourcing, to
Mhm.
take the shame and blame and guilt and weaponization. I'm not
Mhm.
sure that's a word, but we'll go with it,
Mhm.
out of that term codependent and
Mhm.
create a new modern feminist reframing where we're looking at the Venn diagram, where we
Mhm.
see codependent behavior, not
Mhm.
codependent identity.
Mhm.
Listen,
Mhm.
codependent behavior, people pleasing behavior, perfectionist behavior. And the
Mhm.
center of that Venn diagram is what we're doing. We are
Mhm.
outsourcing our emotional wellness. And so the
Mhm.
definition is when we chronically and habitually
Mhm.
source our sense of the
Mhm.
three vital human needs: safety, belonging, and worth from
Mhm.
everyone and everything outside of ourselves instead of from within, at a
Mhm.
great cost to self.
Mhm. Why is it fundamentally feminist to
Mm,
define it the way you define it and then to stop doing it?
right. Because we stop blaming ourselves for being
Mhm.
caring, beautiful humans
Mhm.
who love other
Mhm.
humans. We
Mhm.
stop pretending that any of us grew up in a vacuum because we
Mhm.
didn't.
Mhm.
Right? We grew up part and parcel of systems that
Mhm.
weaponized our great grandmothers and our grandmothers and our mothers, and right,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
weaponized their love and care, that made them
Mhm.
feel less than simply for being
Mhm.
humans assigned female at birth. And so
Mhm.
when we can recognize, right, because the patriarchy hurts all of us, men and
Mhm.
women as well, and humans of
Mhm.
all genders, right? And
Mhm.
so when we can take an intersectional feminist look at
Mhm.
terms like codependency, we can see that they're part and parcel of the demands that patriarchy, white settler colonialism, and late stage capitalism make
Mhm.
on us to not be ourselves, to not be
Mhm.
authentic, to not be embodied, to not love our bodies, to not trust our bodies, but instead to look outward for truth. Because that's what
Mhm.
those three oppressive systems teach us. The truth of
Mhm.
our lives is outside of us, right?
Mhm.
You're too fat, you're too thin, you're too
Mhm.
muscular, you're not muscular enough. You're too dark,
Mhm.
you're too white. You're too
Mhm.
blonde, you're too on and on and on. None of our
Mhm.
bodies are okay or good enough within these
Mhm.
systems. And
Mhm.
so, ipso facto, none of us are okay. And so, we need to outsource constantly and continually.
I love it so much. So it doesn't surprise me, but I just am fascinated by this. I did an episode called Self Trust. I'll link to it in the show notes. And in that episode, just talking about trust, and as I was investigating and writing that episode, it's where I talk about white supremacy culture and what it is
Yes.
and how it works and what all the characteristics of it are. So I'm going to link to that because that's a sort of a deeper topic for another day.
Yeah,
But I love how you framed that so I always say that our thoughts and our experiences, our relationships, in the case of our marriage, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, it happens in a context.
correct.
And so I love even how you explain like codependency and all these labels for things are very useful in a very particular, specific context. And
Right.
outside of that context, they become damaging and weaponized.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that 12-step model tells us that there's something defective about our character. There's something
Mm-hmm.
wrong with who we are. And I'm not coming for the system as a whole. I'm
Right.
talking about the way it frames codependency,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what it doesn't do is look at the systems of oppression and their impact upon us, right? So
Yeah.
when safety, belonging, and access to resources depend on
Mm-hmm.
managing the emotions, needs, and
Mm-hmm.
approval of those with more power, which is
Mm-hmm.
inherent under
Mhm.
systems of oppression, then emotional outsourcing becomes like a nervous system level survival adaptation, right? It's a
Yeah.
way to secure connection and reduce risk when the
Mhm.
stakes are your life, your well being, your livelihood, your physical safety, because
Mhm.
you're living in a woman's body, a black body, a brown body, an immigrant body, a disabled
Mhm.
body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mhm.
so, what's wrong with that 12-step disease model that came out of the 20s and the 40s and really came to
Mhm.
popularity during the war on drugs is that
Mhm.
it focuses on the individual and the individual's individual problems
Mhm.
instead of zooming out and
Mhm.
placing the person within their socio-political context. And
Yeah.
so, listen, so much of these issues come because we think there's something wrong with us, so we beat ourselves up thinking that'll get us to change, but instead it just makes us hate ourselves more. And then we're told that it's actually because we are this bad person label. So,
Mhm.
like, jeepers creepers, how are we ever going to get out from under it? It's
Mhm.
impossible until you start to see that it's way bigger than you and you're
Mhm.
not the problem. You get to take responsibility,
Mhm.
but you're not the problem.
Mm. I love that idea of how we get out from under it is first of all to change the language we use to describe it.
100%.
And that's why I truly believe that, like, 10 years from now we'll listen to this episode and we'll be like, yeah, everybody uses that term now, because it's like it's how we bring neutrality, and from neutrality then we can take different action. We can now consider it instead of just being freaked out. Oh my gosh, I did it again, and feeling terrible or whatever.
Right.
Um okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of skip to the end, and then I'm gonna come back to like the middle. But as I
Ooh, I
was
love
preparing
that.
the episode, I really wanted to know. So, you guys, I'm asking this on behalf. Instead of asking for a friend, on behalf of me. I really wanted to know, once you figured out this was something you were doing and stopped doing, what became possible for you? I kind of want to hear like what is the happy ending and in progress, right? Because life is always in progress. That we get when we are able to talk about it, relabel it, have a different relationship to it, all of those things. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I started giggling because my first thought was the divorce I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that was
Yeah.
what really opened up to me, was
Mm-hmm.
to realize, not to realize, but to
Mm-hmm.
take action
Mm-hmm.
on leaving a marriage that was
Mm-hmm.
abusive, was
Mm-hmm.
really terrible for my sense of self, my self-esteem, my wellness, my health, my finances, like my
Mm-hmm.
everything. It was just a net negative across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And once I was able to do the somatic body based work to
Mm-hmm.
regulate my nervous system
Mm-hmm.
and to really start to see the profound hold that
Mm-hmm.
emotional outsourcing had on me, and was
Mm-hmm.
able to get to the other side of it in a lot of ways, I was able to
Mm-hmm.
leave that lousy marriage. I was able to
Mm-hmm.
really balance the scales,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just realize that gosh, my today is not worth it for like the possibility of someone else growing and then my life becoming better. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not available for that chess match anymore. You know what I
So
mean?
okay, I'm gonna ask you something that is a nuanced thing. So give
Oh, I
me
love
your kind of
nuance.
like, we could talk for 5 hours about what I'm about to
Okay, great.
ask you. So give me like your like from the book kind of guide about this. A question that I get a lot and that I explore in coaching a lot and that we talk about a lot is, how do you know when to call it? Right. So you're in a marriage, you're working on it, you still have positive regard for the person. It's not like, sometimes it's black and white and you're done and it's over, and it's like
Sure.
so, it's actually easier when there's a more clear villain, but it's a little bit trickier when you have ignored yourself for so long, prioritized everyone else for so long, and then you're like, but is it time? And so I'd love to hear um how you got that clarity. A little bit, it could be how you got the clarity or what you recommend for people, of like, you end emotional outsourcing, you're not no longer locating your safety, your belonging, your worth in this other person. And then when do you know, okay, I can call it now?
So in the scenario you set forth, you
Mhm.
have positive regard for that
Mhm.
person. And I
Mhm.
feel like as long as that's still there, there's
Mhm.
some potential for hope. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Hope for well, I guess there's hope in either direction, right? Because
Yeah.
divorce brought me so much hope, right? It
Yeah.
restored my hope in so many ways. So let
Yeah.
me we'll energetically
Yeah.
backtrack and
Yeah.
reverse the tape on that to say that where there's positive regard, there's the possibility of shifts and change as long
Mhm.
as both people are available for it. And so when we live in emotional outsourcing, our whole life, it's calculus. It's a tit for
Mhm.
tat. It's how much am I doing for you and what are you doing for me? It's often
Mhm.
one person over functioning and one
Mhm.
under functioning. And
Mhm.
so just let me caveat, over and under functioning is predicated on expectations
Mhm.
that are not consented to. Right. So
Mhm.
my ex expected me, because I was the fem one, to like do literally everything around the house,
Mm.
everything. And they literally would not lift a finger. And so it was
Mm.
expected I would do everything. And so I lived from that obligation with a monkey pants load of like
Mhm.
so much friggin' obligation and so much
Mhm.
resentment.
Mhm.
Right. So that was a
Mhm.
huge part of what eroded any and all positive regard.
Mhm.
Um, where am I going?
Okay, let me
The
pick up some of the things you put down and then we can see
yeah,
where you're going.
there's so much here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting to try to like
Yeah.
extricate it from my own lived experience
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
just project what I,
But this is yeah,
walked
but this is so
through.
clear. I think this is actually really useful. If there's
Great.
no positive regard,
Forget about it.
that's
What are you
a
doing?
big red flag.
Well,
Big red flag.
yeah, because what are you doing with someone you have no
Yeah.
respect for? Like I had
Yeah.
no respect for my ex.
Yeah.
None. There was
But
nothing about them I respected by the end.
but if you're emotional outsourcing for a while and you're kind of numb to your own perceptions,
Yeah.
you can have no respect for someone and not be connected to that even, right? Like
100%.
yeah.
Right. And so that's why I went into like over and under functioning. So, one of the
Yeah.
things that happens when we stop emotionally outsourcing is
Yeah.
we start to recognize the roles that we've been living in since childhood. And we
Mhm.
start to see how we're reenacting them in our adult relationships, at work, with our friends, in our
Mhm.
business, with our
Mhm.
partners, with our
Mhm.
kids, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mhm.
we have the opportunity to question those roles and to ask
Mhm.
ourselves in an earnest, loving way, do I still want to be the martyr mom, the over
Mhm.
functioning partner, the office mom? Do I want
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean? Like, do I
Yeah.
want to keep living my life in these ways for these people's benefit?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And no judges from this
Yeah.
side of the room, but you
Yeah.
get to decide.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it can be as simple as that,
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
recognizing I am in this over functioning role in this
Mhm.
marriage that doesn't serve me, that keeps me resentful, keeps me frustrated, keeps me feeling like a doormat. And
Mhm.
I'm no longer willing to participate in that. And so you
Mhm.
stop doing that. Does Can the marriage survive?
Yeah.
Will your partner say, you know what, babe? I also feel like you've been doing way too much. I'm going to pick up the kids and the groceries and do the laundry this week, but
Mhm.
not just this week, this month, and not just this
Yeah.
month, this year.
Yeah.
Right. So are the scales rebalanceable, or are you
Yes.
in that emotional outsourcing morass,
Yeah.
right? That finds that imbalance, because it's all about imbalance, right?
Yeah, it's 100%. So, two things. One, if you're in this situation and you're thinking things through, I will link in the show notes to an episode called Deal Breakers, where I give you specific questions that you can
Yes.
answer to work
Love.
through this for that.
Great.
And what I want you to take away from what we're talking about is when there's positive regard, there's more work to do to figure out where you stand.
Yeah.
And when there is no positive regard, you just listen to us today. You can call it. Like if you're listening to us, you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure. Now you
Yeah.
know.
Now
You
you
can do it.
know. Yep.
Okay. The next thing that I
Mhm.
love about everything you do, and that I, basically co-sign all the things. We totally agree. If you ask Bea her opinion and my opinion on something, we're gonna say the same thing. Like the likelihood is gonna be very similar
That
is
makes
like
me
99.
so happy because you're such a gem. But go on. Okay.
Anyway, so you make a big point that emotional outsourcing doesn't just live in your mind or in your thoughts or in how you're approaching the situation, like cognitively, with your mindset, but that it lives in your body.
Yes.
Tell us why that's so important and how do we recognize it in our
Great.
body. I think that everybody struggles with, okay, I get it, but how do I know?
Right. So it starts with attachment, with the attachment
Mhm.
system. And so just the
Mhm.
101 on that,
Yeah.
our attachment system is, to put it as simply as humanly possible, whether we feel securely, safely connected to
Mhm.
our caregivers or not. Meaning,
Mhm.
as a little kid, do we
Mhm.
know and trust that when the lions come, they
Mhm.
will save us? Or
Mhm.
are we pretty sure these people are going to book it for the hills and we're going to be lunch? Right,
Mhm.
to oversimplify
Mhm.
an extremely complex human experience. So,
Yeah.
secure attachment is safety, belonging,
Mhm.
and worth. Of
Mhm.
course, they're going to save me from the lions. Of
Mhm.
course, they are.
Mhm.
Most of us with emotional outsourcing habits have very insecure attachments to our
Mhm.
caregivers,
Mhm.
right? And so, emotional outsourcing keeps secure attachment out of reach because the
Mhm.
body learns that love is contingent on self erasure.
Mhm.
So instead of experiencing consistent attunement, you're busy scanning for what others need, twisting yourself to keep connection, abandoning yourself, shape shifting yourself, chameleoning yourself to try to be what you think they want you to be. And so
Mhm.
that nervous system pattern wires in this belief that safety comes from anticipating others' needs and then
Mhm.
managing others, not
Mhm.
from being authentically seen. Right. So
Mhm.
the conditions for secure attachment actually never get to form. And so our body never gets to actually relax into the presence of being our authentic self. Right. And
Mhm.
so all of those beliefs, those patterns live within the nervous system, live within the soma, the body,
Mhm. Mhm.
because they are physiologic survival strategies
Mhm.
that come from hyper attuning and orienting towards others instead of orienting to yourself.
Mhm. So, this reminds me of something. We're gonna do a little zigzag.
I love this.
The very
Yes,
first time I ever met you, we were at a conference,
I remember.
and my body felt I didn't know you. I had no idea, who you were at the time. But
Yeah.
I remember like you had this exuberance, which, Mrs. Enthusiasm and Mrs. Exuberance, hello.
Uh huh.
And it was this incredible feeling of this is a person who's kindred.
Hmm.
And the reason I want to share this particular story was amazing to meet you, and you had this beautiful energy, and you were just like up for playing and having deep conversations, and you were just like that, like if we were at a play date, right? Like for adults.
I love it.
That was kind of like the energy. And what I want everyone to know is even if you're in an insecure attachment with your partner or with someone in your life, it's likely that there's someone you met once, somewhere,
Hmm.
somehow, where your body just relaxed. It could be the
Yeah.
barista, it could be the
Yeah.
bus driver. It could,
Sure.
like sometimes it doesn't, it might not be someone you're in an intimate relationship with, but there's
Yeah.
someone where you are just in their presence and you can just chill. And I
Yeah.
want everyone listening right now to just take that as like a little bit of an emotional anchor of like, that's what we're going for. That's the purpose of the book. That's the purpose of the podcast. That's the purpose of our work, is like, how can we have more of that
Mm.
in our life? So anything you want to
Yeah. More
say?
presence. I mean,
Yeah.
because that's what it comes down to, no?
Yeah.
And I'll also just like, I'm just going to brag about
Yeah.
us. Argentines and
Yeah.
Cubans love each other. This is fact. And Leos love Leos. So it was
Fact.
kind of fact. So it was
Mhm.
kind of destined.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's interesting if we zoom out and back
Mhm.
up, we're
Mhm.
when we talk about the ACEs study, when we get
Mhm.
real nerdy, because I'll go
Mhm.
real.
We're
So the
going nerdy,
ACEs,
people. Nerd alert.
listen, buckle up,
Mhm.
nerd alert. The ACEs study, the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study,
Mhm.
longitudinal study, the N is statistically significant,
Mhm.
beautiful
Mhm.
study. I'm also studied epidemiology. I just want
Mhm.
to say that for my nerd
Mhm.
credentials.
Mhm.
Um, ACEs, there's you get a score based on
Mhm.
how much stress, distress, and trauma was in your childhood. The
Mhm.
higher your score, the more likely you are to have negative health and wellness outcomes based
Mhm.
upon the impact of trauma on our
Mhm.
physiology. Really
Mhm.
well documented thing, right?
Mhm.
And what the ACEs study also showed is that having one
Mhm.
safe adult,
Mhm.
one safe adult significantly
Mhm.
lowered a child's ACE score. And that adult doesn't have to be kin. It doesn't even
Mhm.
have to be someone you see all the time, like in a
Mhm.
like auntie kind of way.
Mhm.
No, no, no. It can be
Mhm.
the bus driver. It
Mhm.
can be the bus aide. It can
Mhm.
be the crossing guard, a librarian, someone in the cafeteria who goes, "Hey, kid, did you have breakfast? Because you're always
Mhm.
taking seconds for lunch. Listen, why don't you meet me down here? Let me get you bread." Someone
Mhm.
who shows care towards you in
Mhm.
whatever way
Mhm.
is significant. And so, sure, as far as I know, because I'm not going to say
Mhm.
this is a fact, we cannot
Mhm.
change the past.
Mhm.
What do I know?
Mhm.
But what I know is we can connect in and
Mhm.
the more we can be somatically present, the more we
Mhm.
can actually embody our physical selves, the more we can show up to a conference or a whatever
Mhm.
with our hearts open to
Mhm.
meeting the kindred people who can
Mhm.
help soothe old hurt and
Mhm.
support us moving forward so that we can step out of emotional outsourcing with greater ease for being met.
Mhm.
Right? Does that
When you step out of emotional outsourcing, have you coined this yet? Like, what is it insourcing? Like, what is the thing?
interdependence?
Interdependent. Tell me
Yeah,
about that.
I'd love to. So interdependence is when two
You guys, wait. If you're not watching this on video, she just like grinned the biggest grin in the world and is like, I would love to.
Oh my god. When you find your nerdy thing and you're like, I just love talking about this. I could talk about all of this all freaking day. I mean, good thing I wrote a whole book about it though,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. So good.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, mira, interdependence is two autonomous animals, human animals in this case. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I'm interdependent with a cat. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to not get distracted by my brain. Two autonomous human animals for our purposes
Yeah.
who each stand in their own autonomy.
Yes.
Eh, Vital, absolutely vital. There's
Yes.
no autonomy in codependence, in emotional outsourcing. How can
Mm-hmm.
there be? You don't have a self,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you
Mm-hmm.
stand in your autonomy and you relate to the other person through
Mm-hmm.
mutuality and
Mm-hmm.
reciprocity, which my
Mm-hmm.
absolutely adorable. So you asked me before, what did
Mm-hmm.
stepping out of emotional outsourcing gift me?
Yeah.
Divorce, which
Mm-hmm.
then fast forward several years later, being
Yeah.
remarried to the
Yeah.
absolute interdependent, amazing love of my life, like my
Yes.
actual true oh person.
Yeah.
So that's the gift, y'all. You can step
Yeah.
out of something terrible and into where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Um, but she calls it mutuosity, which I think is like the cutest thing on earth.
Of course, your partner
It's
would make up
adorable.
words. Of course. I love
Of
it.
course.
It's
Of
too
course.
cute for yeah,
Yeah,
it's
she's a
amazing.
Sagittarius, so it works.
It works.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Mhm.
mutuosity. Right? So
Mhm.
when we look at what emotional outsourcing is, tit for tat,
Mhm.
with all I've done for you, like that
Mhm.
kind of a vibe where like
Mhm.
you're not giving from your full open heart. Because
Mhm.
where did I put my heart? Shoot, I don't know. I don't think I brought it. What do you
Yeah.
want me to feel? What do you want me to need? What do you need? Let me focus
Mhm.
on you because
Mhm.
I'm not present here. So being present here is too scary. In
Mhm.
interdependence, we are actually present in our own lives,
Mhm.
which is a
Mhm.
whole skill.
Mhm.
And we give from that full open heart
Mhm.
because we have that capacity, because we're in presence.
Okay, y'all. I told you if you
Okay.
ask her her opinion and you ask me my opinion, 99% of the time
Mira,
it's gonna be the same thing. So
mira.
here's
Mhm.
how I talk about this, just to add another layer to it, is imagine coming to every relationship from a place of desire versus a place of dependency. I'm here because I want to be here. I'm here because my
I'm
choice
here.
from a place of desire, just from desire. I don't depend on you to make me feel better. I don't depend on you to, have my
Mm-mm,
worth or my belonging or my safety.
mm-mm,
I just
mm-mm.
want to have the adventure of life in your presence.
Mm, isn't that so beautiful? Yeah.
Kindred.
Kindred. Right. And so from this place, you're not counting.
Mhm.
I'll say like, all right, so Billy, my wife, is in grad
Mhm.
school. So when she first
Mhm.
started grad school, I was doing everything around the house
Mhm.
with joy.
from a place of desire. Yeah.
Si,
Yeah.
senora. And
Yeah.
now, like when I was writing the book, when I was in like that last
Mhm.
month where it's you're in, like
Mhm.
you're eating and sleeping and breathing the book, the book, the book,
Mhm.
she did everything.
Mhm.
And fast forward to now
Mhm.
when I'm like doing all this press and ba 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 ba
Mhm.
ba,
Mhm.
she's doing everything again. And then she's gonna
Mhm.
start school, and then I'll do it. And ba 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 ba. And no one's
Mhm.
counting. I'm only
Mhm.
recounting it because it's
Right.
part of our
Yeah, you're
conversation.
explaining
But
it. Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. Mhm.
it's an ebb and a flow.
Mhm.
Here's a good one. Are you ready? One of
Yes.
like maybe 2 weeks after we had moved in with each other, um, I clean the toilets like you do. And she walks into the house and goes to pee and goes, "Oh, did you leave the toilet bowl cleaner? Like, you leave it to dry
Yeah.
between the
Yeah.
seat and the
Yeah.
toilet so that I would know that you clean the toilets." And I was like, "Oh no, honey, that's another girl." Right, but she was so locked into we don't do things to do them, we do them so we get credit and points. And I was so
Yeah.
locked into being the one getting credit and points that I knew exactly what she was talking about. Right?
Yeah.
But that's that mentality, right? And it's
Yeah.
not your fault. You're not to blame. You're not broken. You're not defective. You grew up watching your mama do that and her mama
Yeah.
do that and her mama do that and her mama do that because they
Yeah.
had to.
Yes.
That's that mother wound that gets passed down as part and parcel of this.
Okay, this is the perfect segue to
Perfect, just like
some.
you.
Aw, now I'm blushing.
Oh, good.
Aw.
Oh.
I like pasted this into my notes because I love
Okay.
your definition. And one of the topics that I want everyone to leave this episode understanding what this is. And it's one of the chapters in the book is about something called functional freeze. And in the book, you say, and I quote, that functional freeze is the natural, logical, expected outcome of
Mm-hmm.
growing up in a family and in a world that told you that you were not enough as you are and that you cannot and should not expect safety.
Correct.
And when I read that, I had like one of those like Oprah moments, like, okay. And so when you were talking about the generational things and how
Yep.
our grandmothers and all these things, I was like, wait, yes, we
Yes.
must discuss. So tell us, tell us anything you want to say about this.
So emotional outsourcing lives in our bodies as survival code in the nervous
Mm-hmm.
system. It's not a thought, it's a set of
Mm-hmm.
procedural memories. So
Mm-hmm.
it patterns your brain, your hormones, your muscles. They run it automatically in a
Mm-hmm.
rote way. The way like if you're driving to the same grocery store you always go to, you just go. You don't have to
Yeah.
like put in the Publix every time. You
Yeah.
just go. And do I get extra points for having a Florida reference?
You
Because we
get
don't have Publix in New York. Ah,
all the extra credit
okay. All right.
points,
Perfect.
all
Good.
of them.
So listen, if you grew up needing to manage someone or everyone's moods,
Yeah.
energies, emotions, thoughts, feelings to stay literally safe, emotionally safe, energetically safe, listo. Every
Mm-hmm.
repetition of that process, I
Mm-hmm.
have to manage them to stay safe, manage them to
Mm-hmm.
stay safe. It wired your nervous system to treat
Mm-hmm.
hyper attunement to others as
Mm-hmm.
life or death for you. So it runs
Mm-hmm.
through your amygdala, your basal ganglia, your cerebellum, down your vagus nerve, and it shapes the way you breathe, your heartbeat, your digestion, everything is
Mm-hmm.
this hypervigilant, hyper attunement. So you look fine, thanks, but
Mm-hmm.
your muscles are braced, your voice is careful, your gut's on alert,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your body is executing code that it learned before you had words. And that
Mm-hmm.
shows up as functional freeze, which is a
Mm-hmm.
mixed nervous system state where
Mm-hmm.
you are both in sympathetic activation, fight or flight, lions are coming. Oh my God, I gotta run. Ah, 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 I have to, I have to, I have to, I have to.
Mm-hmm.
And dorsal freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Dorsal shutdown, rather. Dorsal is it's the nervous system state of last resort. It's I've been being chased by lions across the savannah of evolution for years. And
Mm-hmm.
I am a deer in the headlights, a possum playing possum. I can't. I
Mm-hmm.
just no doy más. I give no more.
Mm-hmm.
I can't anymore. And The body wants to shut down. It's overwhelmed in the like, "Ugh, I ugh, can't" way, but it's also full of adrenaline. So,
Mhm.
what the heck does that look like? It looks like being tired but wired, right?
Mhm.
The clock strikes 11 and you were so
Mhm.
tired on the couch at 9, but bing, it's 11 and you're on. And let's clean the sock
Mhm.
drawer. It
Mhm.
looks like being exhausted inside, but hyper reactive to others.
Mhm.
And mostly what it looks like in emotional outsourcing is that you're revved up, but exhausted. The lights are on, nobody's home. The
Mhm.
lights are on and nobody's home. Hi, welcome. Do you
Mhm.
need anything? Okay, the bathroom's fully stocked, kitchen's yours, and I'm just going
Mhm.
to be here having no feelings, no thoughts of my own, no experience of my
Mhm.
own. I have no access to self. So it's like our
Mhm.
emotions are numb. Maybe we
Mhm.
have access to the big three, mad, sad, and
Mhm.
glad,
Mhm.
but the nuance,
Mhm.
forget about it. Right? So
Mhm.
so we know how to be social animals, right?
Mhm.
Oh, someone's alpaca died. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. But what do we feel
Mhm.
inside? Zero. Someone
Mhm.
got a promotion. Oh, I'm so congratulations. What do we feel inside? Zero. Right? Everything is sort of this numbed, like your own emotions are wrapped in cotton wool, like you
Mhm.
can't fully access them, but you're anxious and revved up, but you're
Mhm.
also shut down. For the women that I work with, and I'd assume
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
women you work with, we are high achievers. We're getting those
Mhm.
degrees, we're running the whole HR, we're practicing
Mhm.
medicine, we're because
Mhm.
we're head of the thing and the
Mhm.
thing and the thing. And because we're so adrenaline fueled and so numb to self, we cannot stop moving, because if we stop moving we'll feel, and we don't know how to feel, and we're so scared to feel because we haven't felt in years, and we're so hyper attuned to everyone else that when the whole family sits down for movies, let me make sure that you have the popcorn you like, because you like it salted but you like it with
Mhm.
butter, but you like it with this, and you know what, oh gosh, I left something in the laundry, I'm gonna go run that again, but then I have to fold the other thing, and then I'm just gonna empty. You guys keep the movie going. I'm fine. I'm just gonna go re-wallpaper the bathroom. And actually, the dog needs a colonoscopy. So I'm gonna learn how to do that and go buy a camera, but I have to research the best camera. I could go on because this is our
Okay, for
lives.
everybody listening, I think we all know someone like
We
that.
all know.
Sometimes it has been us, but also we all can think of
Yes.
someone right
Oh
now that when
yes.
you sit down to the movie will be the person who springs into action. Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
So whenever I talk about freeze, one of the things I say is freeze only melts with warmth.
Correct.
And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and how you here's a lens that I like to use, which comes from the Gottman Institute, which is there are problems you solve and problems you manage.
Hmm.
And a lot of us treat freeze as if it's a problem to be solved, like, oh, I'm gonna
Right.
get rid of it, I'm gonna fix it, I'm
Right.
gonna heal it. Versus we're gonna have nervous system responses our whole life. We're gonna have ups and downs and ebbs and flows our whole life. We're gonna get really close to stopping emotional outsourcing, and something's gonna bang us in the opposite direction. We're gonna be like, "Oh, I did that again. I fell into that pattern again." So it's really more of something we manage versus solving. So I'd love to hear from your point of view, like, how do we manage our relationship to freeze?
Yeah, I think your point about kindness
Mm-hmm.
is everything. It's a
Mm-hmm.
huge part of why I move away from the language of codependency, especially
Mm-hmm.
as an identity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's profoundly unkind in its
Mm-hmm.
current form.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we can recognize we're doing a verb, it's
Mm-hmm.
just how we're being.
Yeah.
And so just that very shift invites in so much compassion, so much
Yes.
kindness, so much gentleness, just um just so much ability to recognize that what we were doing is for darn good reason,
Yes.
including our nervous system patterns.
Yes.
The only negative feedback I get about my work is from people who don't like the pet names I use.
What do you mean?
So if you're new to my work in my podcast, Feminist Wellness, as well as
Yeah.
in the book in End Emotional Outsourcing, I
Yeah.
call people my tender ravioli and my sweet squash blossom and my sweet little kitten mittens. And I do this for several reasons. One, it's
Mhm.
constitutional. It's just
Mhm.
who I am, and I'm not going to
Yes.
not be me so someone is more.
Yeah.
Two, it's Latinidad. Try to meet
Mhm.
an Argentine who doesn't give you an immediate nickname that's going to stick for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's how we show love. Tres, when we understand the science of talking to ourselves,
Mhm.
we understand that speaking kindly to ourselves, particularly out loud,
Mhm.
lights up Broca's area or
Yes.
Nikki's. I mean, the way it changes the actual physiology of our brains is out freaking standing. And this isn't
Mhm.
me pontificating. This is PubMed. Like this is
Mhm. Yeah.
anatomy and
Yeah.
physiology books. This is
Yeah.
really solid evidence based science that
Yeah.
our self talk literally shapes our brain.
Yeah.
And so why not call yourself a sweet little pumpkin ravioli? Like why would you
Yeah.
not do that?
I love
Right?
it.
But people take umbrage with it because it rubs up against that part of us that from
Mhm.
capitalism and white settler
Mhm.
colonialism thinks we have to be
Mhm.
mean to ourselves because they're extractive systems, right? We have to be
Mhm.
mean to ourselves in order to create change, but because science, it's quite literally the opposite. And
Mhm.
so the more we bring in compassion, the more we create change that's sustainable,
Yeah.
that lasts, that isn't just flash in the pan and then you're
Yeah.
back to your old habits on Monday, you know? Yeah.
So I want to be your sweet little pumpkin
You
ravioli.
already are. I can see your sweet cheesy center and I love it. But you're a sweet lion ravioli. You're not made of lion. You are like if you picture a lion and also a ravioli at the same time, that's you because you are a
Ah,
Leo.
I love
You're
it.
welcome.
So
And
good.
listen, it can be someone can be a sweet empanada. I'm
Right.
available.
Yeah. For this
Like we,
experience, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's
There's a
multicultural.
trope on Tumblr and like different places about in romance novels and things about the sweet cinnamon roll. Have you ever heard about the sweet
Oh
cinnamon roll?
no,
So
I
there's a
have
sweet
not.
cinnamon roll and also the golden retriever. So the trope is like this like hero in a heterosexual situation where the guy is like the sweetness of a golden retriever or of a sweet cinnamon roll. So I always tell my husband that he's a sweet cinnamon roll. And then he's like, but then what are you? And I'm like, I'm a spicy chicken nugget.
Oh my god,
And we
that's
were joking around
hilarious.
about this, and I didn't realize. I love what you're saying. How your physiology is, it relaxes, it heals, it just it's so interesting. Instead of it's something verbal that goes to the nonverbal part of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So powerful. I love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're talking about functional freeze. We're talking about emotional outsourcing, which is also like the people pleasing fawn response, right? So these are nervous system responses. The first time I had you on, we talked in depth about the nervous system. We will link to that episode on the
Awesome.
show notes for this episode because I know all of you will have a crush on Bea, like I do, and we'll want to listen to more. So we'll link to that in the show notes too. But one point that you make in the book that again I was just like yes, yes, yes about it, it's a very apparently it was a very orgasmic experience reading
I'm so
reading this book. It's
delighted.
so good. Is that dysregulation is not bad.
No.
Dysregulation is not a
Uh-uh.
problem.
No.
So tell us all the things about
Mira, yeah. So again, right, the systems of oppression seek to make everything into these bite-sized, commodifiable little nuggets
it.
instead of
Mm-hmm.
seeing the complexity and nuance of the human experience. And when
Mm-hmm.
we internalize that, we create more shame. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what's sort of come about through social media is this belief that being regulated means being calm all the time, being like zen and like
Mm-hmm.
first of all, that's just not real. And second of all, that's
Mm-hmm.
not a world I want to live in.
Mm-mm.
I love being excitable, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
just spoke about what
Mm-hmm.
connected our souls was
Mm-hmm.
being excitable, being
Mm-hmm.
enthusiastic, being loving,
Mm-hmm.
being gregarious, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that about us. May we
Mm-hmm.
never ever lose that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a little edge of sympathetic activation to that,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's
Mm-hmm.
some small amount of dysregulation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's beautiful. right? We're leaving fully calm, cool. Mira, listen, there's a lot of people starving, a lot of people struggling, a lot of problems on this planet. I want to be extremely angry about that and extremely sad, and I often am.
Mhm.
Right? I will
Mhm.
spend a lot of time crying about that. And I'm not
Mhm.
giving that up.
Mhm.
Also, if you want to cross the street in Manhattan at rush hour, please
Mhm.
have a little sympathetic activation. You're not going to survive otherwise. You
You
know
need
what
to
I
move.
mean?
You
You
need to
gotta
move
move
when the
that
people move.
culito. Let's go. Be attentive. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Don't be a tourist in the middle of the sidewalk getting run over by New Yorkers and cars alike, right? Like we need get up and go.
Mhm.
We also need to be super duper sad, and we need the sort of other side of dorsal, which is
Mhm.
shavasana, right? The
Mhm.
meditation at the end of yoga,
Mhm.
right? That allows all your work to integrate. I teach breath work. We spend half of the practice integrating, right? We need that integration time, that sweet liminal space of healthy dorsal. And so
Yes.
when the push is to be calm, be calm, be calm, we're just Stepford wifing ourselves, right? We're
We're
just
we're not good at it.
right? We're
Yeah.
just negating our humanity and trying to make ourselves like normal Barbie, when like really all
Mhm.
of us are weird Barbie. All of us, right? And when we can allow ourselves to have the full depth and breadth of human emotion, then that's what we have. And what we do want to do is be able to regulate our nervous system such that we have our big feelings without pointing them at someone, without using them to
Mhm.
hurt others.
Mhm.
And that is vital work. That where I'd say nothing's more important than regulation. When if you get
Mhm.
angry, you lash out. When you get sad, you guilt and shame. Work
Mhm.
on that. But that's
Mhm.
just the outward expression of the nervous system state. The state's not a problem. It's the thought work, you know?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that so much. So I like to think about it. You know, when you go to the doctor and they tap your knee and your leg
Your
automatically
reflexes?
your
Yeah.
reflex automatically goes up. So I like to think about nervous system responses like this emotional reflex.
Yes,
And it's
exactly.
so to your
Yeah.
point, it's not bad to have a reflex. In fact, it means your system is working as designed when you have that reflex.
Right.
The thing is, most of us have unconscious, completely unconscious
Mhm.
reflexes.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think one of the things that your book does so well, and that this type of conversation does so well, is making it conscious. So we
Yes.
can be aware of it,
Yes.
so that we can be in relationship with it.
Yeah, of course, because that's, again, integral to the definition is that when
Yeah.
we chronically and habitually,
Yeah.
unintentionally,
Yeah.
that's the core of it. Um,
Yeah.
because that's when it's on that nervous system that you know what it really is? They're it's emotional childhood,
Mhm.
right? And stepping out of emotional outsourcing is stepping into emotional adulthood.
So emotional childhood. Just tell everybody briefly emotional childhood versus emotional adulthood. I never like to like drop a term without telling people if you've never heard of this before.
Yes, of course. So emotional adulthood is what we're talking about in interdependence, right? Where you
Hmm.
recognize your own autonomy and you
Yeah.
take responsibility for yourself and your own emotions,
Yeah.
instead of blaming and shaming others and making your
Hmm.
emotions someone else's doing, someone else's
Hmm.
problem, etc. And emotional
Hmm.
childhood is the opposite of that,
Yeah.
right? Where we don't really recognize that ebb and flow of energy, and we don't
Hmm.
have the capacity and skills to be with our own emotions. And so it's really scary, right?
Yeah.
And so, no shade if you're an emotional childhood in
Hmm.
general or about a specific issue, but it does keep you from having full choice and agency in your life.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
one way to think about it too is an emotional childhood. It's like life is happening to me, and emotional
exactly.
adulthood is like I'm happening to life.
Right.
And
You have
there's so much power
agency.
and agency when
Yeah.
we're in emotional adulthood, and when emotional childhood, we feel trapped and powerless. And so I know
Yeah.
so many people that work with you and work with me come to us because at some level about something they feel trapped.
Yes.
Like they have all these choices in all these other areas of life, and in this one area it could be a relationship with a parent, with a partner, with your boss. You feel this trapped feeling, and it's like, oh, how can we help you step out of that and into agency? And one of the ways to do it is to recognize what emotional outsourcing is, to
Right.
see, oh, I've been outsourcing all these things, to my job, to my title, to my
Mm-hmm.
boss, to my family role, all these different things. It's like, if I don't outsource that, guess what? I get all my energy and power back.
Right. And then you can make the decisions you actually want to be making for your own perfect life.
Yeah.
And like,
So good.
what is more amazing than that?
Yeah.
Right?
So good. So good. Okay.
So
We have come to
good.
the time where I'm going to ask you a question from the Questions for Couples Journal. Okay. If you could be the world champion of anything, what would it be?
Loving Maggie Reyes.
What?
I adore you. Drinking mate. I'm really good at that.
Okay. I like it. Yeah.
Eating empanadas. God,
Okay.
I'm so good at that. What else am I good at that I really like? You know what, Maggie? Everything's going to be about food.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
Listen, I mean, most of the two most important things in my life are love and food. But food is also
Mm.
just love. So I want to be the
Mhm.
world champion of love.
I like it.
I think that's what led me to write the book, is being the world champion of love and supporting others to live in and with more love, because it is the essential human task, is to live from our full open hearts with true
Yes.
authentic love for self and the world. And you can't emotionally outsource when you're doing that. So,
So good.
listo el pollo. Love. World champion of love.
Okay, I have to add something to that. So, world champion of love.
Yes.
When I was listening to you say that, what came
Yes.
to me immediately was the problem is when we hear that most of us think about loving others,
Ah,
and we forget that loving ourselves is critical, fundamental, right? Is the whole point of all this, the whole conversation. We can love ourselves. And what if we started with that? I feel like everybody, when you first hear you say that, you're like, oh, world champion of love, let's love everybody. No, but world champion of love, how can I love me? And then I can love everybody.
right. And it's by loving ourselves
Yeah.
that we and respecting ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? That we can show up in our autonomy, in our agency, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we can love each other without the BS,
Yeah. It's so
right?
much deeper because it's real. I'm not loving you because I depend on you. I'm loving you because I just want to be here.
Right. Right. And instead, what we're doing in emotional outsourcing that we don't recognize, it's like my cat Wade is really good at being a cat. He's superlative at it, but he's terrible at doing my taxes. And so when you love someone from obligation and resentment instead of
Mm-hmm.
from self-love and the desire to be love and create love in the world, you're
Mm-hmm.
asking a cat to do your taxes. And I gotta, with all due respect, he's not very good at that. He doesn't
Okay.
have thumbs.
I'm going to quote you for the end
I
of
wish he
time.
would.
Listen, are you
Listen,
asking your cat to do your
are you
taxes?
asking your cat to do your taxes? Are you
Stop
asking
that.
my cat? Because we found him in a garbage can like 6 8 months ago. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, in serio, like literally he was in a garbage can. And so are you asking a garbage cat from a garbage can to do your emotional taxes for you? No judges if you are, but is that your best choice, mi amor? Is it your best choice? Do you want to roll again? You can roll again. You can roll again. It's
I love
okay.
it. I
Make a
love it.
different choice, baby.
Make a different choice. It's
Make
so
a
good.
different choice.
Okay.
No one's out here judging you,
So
but
good.
make a different choice. Okay.
Tell
Okay.
everybody
I'm going to
how
tell
to
them so
find you,
much. Okay.
where to get the book. Tell us
Okay.
all the logistical. Let's come.
Okay.
We're in heaven right now, and now we have to come back to earth.
Where the book is,
Tell
though.
us the
So
things.
that's
Where's
nice.
the yes,
Listen,
yes.
you might be all like, I don't need to pre-order, but the more you pre-order, the more it tells the publisher to publish the book, which means it's more likely to end up in your public library. So if you have
Mhm.
the financial capacity to pre-order a book, you're actually supporting your public library. I found that out last week and it has been blowing my mind, because it really explains why we all push pre-order so hard
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
library.
Mm-hmm.
So you can buy my book at Beatriz, Beatriz, Albina, ALB as in bunnies, INA.com/book.
Okay.
Easy peasy. When you go to there and you order your book, you can put your little name and email in, and you know what? You'll get presents. You know why? Because I love you. Am I obliged to give you presents? I am not. So will I have resentment? Oh no. I will have autonomy and love because I love you. So let's step into emotional outsourcing. Nope, out of emotional outsourcing and into interdependence together when you
Yeah.
pre-order it. And I get to do what I want to do because I love you, which is send you a gift.
Yeah. Okay.
So listen.
So listen, when
Listen.
years ago, Oprah talked about the four agreements. And
Uh-huh.
she went on her show and she said, I bought one for all my friends. And I thought that was the biggest,
Yeah.
the biggest move. Like, I don't know, what is the right
Mm-hmm.
word? The biggest, gangsta move that she
Right?
bought one for, all her friends. So then I bought one for all my friends. So everybody pull an Oprah.
Pull
You
it over.
order the and emotional outsourcing because you had so much fun listening to us. You're going to have so much fun reading the book. And then you pull an Oprah and you buy one for your friends that
That's
you
right.
know. And it's the best thing because you know that friend that you wish you could tell them that you know what they're doing, but you can't really
Listen.
listen to this podcast.
Listen.
These people were so much fun. This book is so good. And then you don't have to explain
Nope.
why you're giving them the book. You just got one for
Mm-mm-mm.
all your friends.
All the friends.
Isn't that the
It
best
is.
strategy?
It is. I've been saying lately, get it for your friends and also get it for your enemies.
So good. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so
Mi amor.
BeatrizAlbina.com/book. We'll put that link in the show notes. Where can people follow you? Where do you like to hang out? What's the best way to do it?
Yeah, my podcast is Feminist Wellness. It's free every Thursday. It's a gem. I give good gram at Beatriz. It's my whole name, and I live with a
Okay.
small amount of regret, but that's okay. It's
Okay,
okay.
tell
It's my whole
us.
name. So it's Beatriz
Uh-huh.
Victoria
Uh-huh.
Albina NP
Beatriz with a Z. We'll
with
put
a
this in the
Z,
show
like the
notes
cool
link.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beatriz
Like the
Victoria
grandmas,
Albina.
because the abuelas are the cool kids. We all know
Right?
that.
We love our
It's true.
abuelas. I love my
It's true.
abuela.
It's true.
Okay, I will talk to you for 5 hours, but eventually we have to do stuff.
500. Oh. Oh, it's true though. It's true. Oh, I
Thank
adore
you.
you. This is so freaking lovely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
So
for being
grateful.
here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for writing
Oh.
the book. Thank you for writing that book so all of us could read it and all of us could have a better lives as a
I really
result.
appreciate that.
And
That's
everyone
really
who's listening to this right now in 2025, in 2035, you see we don't all say emotional outsourcing all the time. I am putting it out there in the world.
I love it. I mean, you know that's why I trademarked it, right? Because I'm like, this is too good.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's
It's
a
a
thing.
thing.
Bye, everybody.